I was standing in my kitchen, the morning light too bright, tracing the crayon marks and sticky notes plastered across my calendar. Each mark, a forgotten appointment. Each note, a reminder of a life I no longer lived. Then, through the tinny speaker of my son's phone, left carelessly on the counter, his voice drifted to me, casual and dismissive. "Don't worry, honey. Mom will babysit forever. She has nothing else to do anyway." Those words. They didn't just hit me, they exploded, a silent internal detonation that shattered the carefully constructed peace I'd lived in for years. My name is Linda. I'm 67 years old, and in that single, careless sentence, my entire world shifted on its axis. It wasn't about revenge, not truly. This was the day I finally remembered who I was before I became everyone else's solution, before my own identity became a footnote in their busy lives. I'd love to know where you're watching this from. Are you in Texas, California? Somewhere else entirely? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single one. Now, let me take you back to where this unraveling began, back to the mountains of Denver, Colorado, where the majestic peaks are supposed to remind you that the world is bigger than your problems. Or at least, that's what I kept telling myself. My husband, Tom, passed away 4 years ago. The first 2 years were an abyss. A raw, howling void where every room echoed with memories that made my chest ache, where I forgot what day it was, what purpose I had. Michael, my son, was wonderful then. He called daily, brought groceries, held my hand. Jessica, his wife, sent thoughtful texts. Their twins, Emma and Noah, were just 5, and their video calls were the only specks of light in my fog of grief. "Mom, you need purpose," Michael said one evening, 6 months after Tom died, his voice laced with concern. "What if you watch the kids a couple of days a week? It would help us with childcare costs, and honestly, it might be good for you, keep you active." He made it sound like a gift, a lifeline, and for a time, it was. The twins gave me a reason to get dressed, to bake cookies, to do arts and crafts. Their innocent laughter filled the silence Tom left behind. Jessica would hug me, her embrace warm. "Linda, you're a lifesaver. We couldn't do this without you." 2 days a week became 3, then 4, then every weekday, then weekends for their plans, then evenings for their date nights, then overnights for spontaneous trips. I never said no. How could I? They times needed times me. Or so I believed, clutching onto that fragile justification as I canceled my book club again, skipped my watercolor class again, and told my friend Patricia I couldn't join her trip to Santa Fe because who would watch the kids? "You're so lucky," Jessica's mother, Carol, told me at Emma's 9th birthday party last month. "Being retired with grandkids nearby, I barely see mine." Lucky. The word felt like a hollow echo in my exhausted mind. I smiled and nodded, a practiced reflex, even though I couldn't remember the last time I'd done something just for me. My bones ached with a fatigue that no amount of sleep could cure. I felt less like a grandmother, more like an unpaid, on-call staff member, but I didn't say any of that. Not yet. The twins were 9 now, and somewhere along the way, my helping out had morphed into their entire childcare plan. It wasn't an exaggeration. Michael and Jessica both worked from home, yet I was there every single day, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Last Tuesday was typical. I arrived at 7 a.m. sharp. If I was even 5 minutes late, Jessica would text, "Where are you?" Michael was already in his office, immersed in a conference call. Jessica was getting ready for her yoga class, phone in hand. "Morning, Linda," she called out, barely looking up. "The kids need breakfast. Noah has soccer at 4, and Emma has a playdate at 3 that I need you to drive her to. I'll be back around noon, maybe 1 p.m. She grabbed her mat and was out the door before I could even take off my coat. The twins bounded down the stairs, arguing about whose turn it was to pick the TV show. I made pancakes, refereed the TV battle, helped Noah unearth a soccer cleat from the garage, and listened to Emma practice her multiplication tables while cleaning up breakfast. At 10 a.m., Michael emerged. "Hey, Mom. Can you keep it down?" I have another call." Then, without a word, he grabbed the lunch I'd packed for myself, my carefully assembled sandwich, and went back to his office, munching on it while talking about quarterly projections. I silently made myself a second, hastily constructed peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It felt like another small, almost imperceptible indignity. Jessica came home at 2:30 p.m., not noon. "Mom, I'm exhausted," she sighed, collapsing onto the couch. "Yoga was so intense. Would you mind handling dinner tonight? Michael and I are thinking of going to that new steakhouse." So, I drove Emma to her playdate, took Noah to soccer, picked Emma back up, came home, and made spaghetti and meatballs for the kids. I helped Noah with his homework, gave them both baths, and read bedtime stories. Michael and Jessica arrived home at 9:30 p.m., happy and relaxed, smelling of expensive wine. "You're the best, Mom," Michael said, kissing my cheek. "I don't know what we'd do without you." I drove home to my empty house, sitting in my car for 20 minutes before I could summon the energy to go inside. This wasn't retirement. This wasn't the life Tom and I had dreamed of. We had plans, real plans. We were going to travel, see Italy, France, Spain, take a cooking class in Tuscany, drink wine overlooking the Mediterranean. We had a travel journal, thick with notes, brochures, and dreams. That journal was still in Tom's nightstand drawer. I hadn't opened it in 4 years. I thought about Kathleen, my sister, 69, just back from a month in New Zealand. My friend Patricia, who took up pottery and now sold her work at local craft fairs. My neighbor Helen, volunteering at the botanical gardens and hiking with the seniors adventure group. They were living. I was existing. But every time I thought about saying something to Michael, the guilt would choke me. I'd remember how he helped me through Tom's death, how he'd held my hand at the funeral, how lost I'd been, and how present he was. I owed him, didn't I? That's what I kept telling myself. A mantra of self-sacrifice until Thursday afternoon. Thursday started like any other day. I showed up at 7 a.m. Jessica handed me a list of errands, grocery shopping, pharmacy pickup, dry cleaning, and left for a hair appointment. Michael was locked in his office, preparing for a big presentation. By 3 p.m., I'd done everything on the list, plus cleaned their kitchen, which had somehow become my responsibility too. I was folding laundry in their living room when Jessica came home with her mother, Carol. I genuinely liked Carol. She was a retired nurse who traveled constantly, volunteering with Doctors Without Borders twice a year. She was the kind of woman I used to think I'd become. "Linda," Carol hugged me warmly, "I feel like I never see you anymore. Didn't you used to come to our book club?" "I've been busy with the kids," I said, folding one of Noah's tiny soccer jerseys. "Still?" Carol's eyebrows rose. "Jessica, I thought you said Linda only helped out occasionally." Jessica laughed. Actually laughed, a light, airy sound that grated on my nerves. "Oh, Mom, Linda doesn't mind. She loves spending time with her grandchildren. Don't you, Linda?" What was I supposed to say, with both of them staring at me, their expectations a visible weight in the air? So, I smiled and nodded, like I always did. Carol looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. Concern, pity. But she didn't push it. After Carol left, Michael emerged from his office, visibly stressed. Jessica was scrolling through her phone, showing me pictures of a vacation they were planning to Hawaii. 2 weeks in Maui. We found this amazing deal. We leave in 3 weeks. That sounds wonderful, I said, folding the last towel. And the best part, Jessica continued, oblivious, the kids will be on spring break, so you won't have to worry about getting them to and from school. They can just stay at your house the whole time. It'll be like a fun grandma camp. My hands, still on the laundry, froze. Wait, what? Oh, didn't Michael tell you? She glanced at my son. We need you to take the twins for those 2 weeks. We already booked the trip. It's non-refundable. Michael didn't even look up from his laptop. Mom, you're free anyway, and the kids love staying with you. I started, but what could I say? They'd already booked it, already decided, already assumed. They didn't ask. They never asked. That night, I went home and opened a bottle of wine, something Tom and I had been saving for a special occasion that never came. I sat at my kitchen table with his old travel journal, those pages filled with dreams we'd never fulfilled. Italy, France, Spain, all those places Tom and I had circled and starred and planned for times someday asterisk. Someday never came for Tom. And apparently, someday was never coming for me either. I was 67 years old, and I'd become invisible. Not a person with her own dreams and needs and desires, just a convenience, a free babysitting service, someone with nothing else to do. I poured another glass of wine and stared at the pictures of the Amalfi Coast Tom had glued carefully into our journal. That's when the first crack appeared in my resolve, a tiny fissure that would soon grow into an earthquake. The next afternoon, Friday, I showed up at their house like clockwork, my arms laden with groceries. I'd started buying food for their house with my own money because Jessica never seemed to have time to shop. The front door was slightly ajar. I could hear Michael on the phone in the kitchen. "Yeah, we're all set for Hawaii," he was saying. "Mom's watching the kids." I started to push the door open, but then I heard Jessica's voice in the background, a question. "Did you ask her?" Michael laughed. "Didn't need to. Come on, Mom will babysit forever. She has nothing else to do anyway. It's not like she has a life or anything. She just sits at home." I froze on the doorstep, the heavy bags digging into my arms. Jessica laughed too. "I know, right? It's actually perfect timing. My mom was asking if we needed help with the kids, and I was like, why would we need anyone else when Linda is always available?" "Exactly," Michael chimed in. "I mean, she's retired. This gives her purpose. Otherwise she'd just be lonely and bored. We're actually doing her a favor." "Doing me a favor?" The grocery bag slipped from my hands. A jar of pasta sauce shattered on their porch, red splashing across the concrete like blood. They came running to the door. "Mom!" Michael looked startled. "How long have you been standing there?" I stared at my son. This man I'd raised, who I'd supported through college, whose own children I'd been caring for day in and day out for years. This man, who thought I had nothing else to do, who thought my life was empty without him needing me to fill it. "Long enough," I said quietly, my voice startlingly steady. "Mom, I didn't mean," he started. "Yes, you did." I cut him off, my voice calm, cold, devoid of the emotion that was raging inside. "You meant every word." Jessica stepped forward, her face flushed. "Linda, you're taking this the wrong way. Michael just meant that I have no life, that I'm just sitting around waiting to be useful to you." I finished her sentence, my gaze sweeping between them. "When was the last time either of you asked me if I had plans? When was the last time you asked me instead of told me?" Michael ran his hand through his hair. "Okay, maybe I phrased it badly, but Mom, you never say no. You always seem happy to help." "Because you're my son," I said, my voice cracking just a little, the raw truth pushing past the dam of my resentment. "Because I love you. Because when your father died, you were there for me. And I thought this was me returning the favor. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being your mother and became your employee. One you don't even have to pay or thank or ask permission from." "That's not fair," Jessica bristled. "We thank you all the time." "Do you?" I looked at her directly. "Or do you just say, 'You're the best' as you're walking out the door to your yoga class while I'm cleaning your kitchen?" The twins appeared in the hallway, their innocent faces wide with confusion. "Grandma?" Emma said uncertainly. I looked at my beautiful grandbabies, and my heart broke. But for the first time in years, it broke for me times two. "I love you both so much," I told them, my voice thick with emotion. Then I looked at Michael and Jessica. "I can't watch the kids while you're in Hawaii." Michael's face went from shocked to angry. "Mom, we already booked the trip. It's non-refundable." "Then you should have asked me first." I turned and walked away from their house, the shattered pasta sauce a stark red stain on the porch. Michael was still calling after me, but I didn't look back. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get my key into the car ignition. I didn't go home. Instead, I drove to Patricia's house. She answered the door in paint-covered overalls, her gray hair tied back with a colorful scarf, and took one look at my face before pulling me inside. "What happened?" she asked, guiding me to her kitchen table, and I told her everything. The years of constant babysitting, the canceled plans, the suffocating assumption that I had nothing better to do, the conversation I'd overheard, all of it came pouring out like a dam had broken. Patricia listened without interrupting, her face growing more troubled with every detail. When I finally finished, she squeezed my hand. "Linda," she said gently, "why have you let this go on for so long?" "Because he's my son. Because I love my grandchildren. Because after Tom died, I felt so lost, and taking care of them gave me purpose." "But is that what you want your purpose to be?" Patricia interrupted, her gaze firm. "Being taken for granted, having your entire life revolve around their convenience?" I didn't have an answer. Patricia got up and pulled something from a drawer, a brochure. "Remember when you and Tom came to my house for dinner and you spent 2 hours talking about your Italy trip? You made us all look at that travel journal." My throat tightened. "That was a long time ago. It was 4.5 years ago, right before Tom got sick." She pushed the brochure across the table. "It was for tours of the Amalfi Coast. I picked this up for you. I kept thinking one day you'd be ready." I stared at the pictures of azure waters, colorful cliffside villages, ancient ruins. Everything Tom and I had dreamed about. "I can't just leave," I whispered. "Why not?" Patricia said firmly. "The kids have 2 parents. 2 parents who work from home and have somehow convinced you that they can't manage their own children without you." She stood up and pulled out her laptop. "Come here." I don't know what possessed me to follow her, but I did. She opened a travel website and started searching for flights to Italy. "Patricia, this is crazy." "Is it?" she countered. "Or is staying there, letting them treat you like this? What's actually crazy?" She looked at me, her eyes seeing past my fear. "Linda, you're 67, not 97. Tom wouldn't want you to stop living because he couldn't be there to live with you." My eyes filled with tears because she was right. Tom would hate what I'd become. This small, erased version of myself. "What if they need me?" I asked, a last desperate plea from the old Linda. "Then they'll figure it out, like adults do." I thought about Michael's words. "She has nothing else to do." The casual dismissal of my entire existence. "Show me the flights," I heard myself say. Patricia grinned. "We found one leaving Sunday morning, barely 36 hours away. One-way ticket to Rome, $4,200. It would drain a chunk of my savings, but not break me. Tom's life insurance money, the money I'd been saving for someday." My hand hovered over the mouse. "Do it," Patricia whispered. I clicked. Asterisk. Booking confirmed. Asterisk. I was going to Italy. I didn't call Michael, didn't text, didn't explain. Saturday was a blur. I went home and pulled out Tom's old travel journal, opening it for the first time in years. His handwriting stared back at me. Neat lists of places we'd wanted to see, restaurants we'd wanted to try, experiences we'd wanted to share. Asterisk, "I'm going without you, baby." Asterisk, I whispered to his picture on my nightstand. Asterisk, "I hope that's okay." Asterisk, I spent the day shopping for lightweight clothes, charging my phone, printing out my boarding pass. Patricia came over and helped me pack, and we drank champagne like we were kids planning a wild adventure. "Should I tell them?" I asked her around 10 p.m., my suitcase zipped and ready by the door. "Tell them what? That you're leaving town? You're a grown woman, Linda. You don't need permission." But still, out of habit, or perhaps a last glimmer of wanting to be understood, I sent a text to Michael at 11 p.m. Asterisk, "Can't watch kids for Hawaii trip. You'll need to make other arrangements." Asterisk. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. I woke up at 4 a.m. to catch my 8 a.m. flight. My phone had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages when I turned it on during my drive to the airport. "Michael." Asterisk, "Mom, what do you mean you can't watch the kids?" Asterisk, "Michael." Asterisk, "This isn't funny. Call me." Asterisk, "Michael." Asterisk, "Mom, we leave in 3 weeks. We need you." Asterisk, "Jessica." Asterisk, "Linda, Please be reasonable. Where would we even find a babysitter for 2 weeks on such short notice? Asterisk, Michael. Asterisk, you're really going to do this to us after everything we've done for you? Asterisk, that last text made me actually laugh out loud. Asterisk, after everything they'd done for me? Asterisk, I was pulling into airport parking when my phone rang. Michael. I almost didn't answer, but I picked up on the last ring. Mom, finally, what is going on with you? I'm going to Italy, I said calmly. There was a long silence. What? Italy? I leave in 2 hours. You can't. For how long? I don't know yet. I bought a one-way ticket. Now, if you've been connecting with this story, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because what happened next was something I never could have predicted, and you won't want to miss it. Mom! Michael's voice had that edge of controlled frustration he used when the twins threw tantrums. Mom, you're not thinking clearly. You can't just fly to Italy on a whim. Why not? Because what about the kids? What about our trip? I was walking through the automatic doors into the airport terminal, my carry-on rolling behind me. The departures board glowed overhead. My flight was on time. Michael, what about me? I asked quietly. What about my life, my dreams, the things I want to do? This is ridiculous. You're being selfish. Selfish? I'd given them 4 years of unpaid childcare, thousands of hours of my life, and taking 2 weeks for myself was selfish? I felt a new kind of strength solidify in my chest. I have to go through security now, I said. I'll call you when I land. Mom, don't you dare! I hung up and turned off my phone. My hands weren't shaking anymore. The flight to Rome was 11 hours of pure freedom. I had a window seat, a good book I'd been meaning to read for 2 years, and for the first time, in longer than I could remember, nobody needed me for anything. The woman next to me, probably in her early 70s, was heading to Italy for a month-long painting retreat. We talked for hours about art, about travel, about life. She'd been divorced for 20 years and had spent the last decade making up for lost time, as she put it. I wasted too many years being who everyone else needed me to be, she told me, her eyes sparkling with a familiar fire. Now I'm just being me. I liked who she was. I turned my phone on briefly during our layover in Frankfurt. 43 new messages. I turned it back off. When we landed in Rome, it was early morning. Golden light painted the ancient city in shades of honey and amber. I collected my bag, took a taxi to a small hotel Patricia had recommended in Trastevere, and checked into a room with a terrace overlooking red-tiled roofs. I opened Tom's travel journal on that terrace, with an espresso and a cornetto, and I cried for him, for us, for all the time we'd lost. Then I wiped my eyes and opened my phone. 67 messages now, most from Michael and Jessica, increasingly frantic. But there were others too. My daughter-in-law's mother, Carol, * Linda. Jessica told me what happened. Good for you, * Patricia. * You landed yet. Live your life, woman. * My sister Kathleen. * Michael called me demanding I talk sense into you. I told him you were the most sensible you've been in years. Love you. Send pictures. *. And then, the message that made my stomach drop. Michael, * Mom, we're in serious trouble. Jessica's mom is in Guatemala on a medical mission. My boss won't let me take 2 weeks off. We're going to have to cancel Hawaii and lose $6,000. Jessica is in tears. I hope you're happy. *. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me, the old Linda, the people-pleaser Linda, wanted to call them immediately, apologize, promise to fly home and watch the kids. But a newer, stronger part of me typed, I'm sorry you're in a difficult position. Perhaps you can find a local babysitter or take the children with you. The response came within seconds. * Take them with us. It's a romantic vacation. That's not the point. * Then perhaps it's a lesson in planning, I wrote back, surprising myself with my own resolve. I'm sorry about your situation, but I'm not responsible for it. You made assumptions without asking me. That's not my fault. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. My phone immediately rang. I declined the call. It rang again, declined again. Then a text from Jessica. Asterisk, I can't believe how selfish you're being. Those are your grandchildren. Don't you care about them? Asterisk, that one hurt. But I wrote back, I love Emma and Noah more than anything, but loving them doesn't mean I have to sacrifice my entire life. They have parents. You and Michael need to figure this out. I turned off my phone after that and walked out into Rome. The Colosseum was waiting. I spent 3 days in Rome without my phone. 3 days wandering ancient streets, eating pasta, carbonara, and gelato, sitting in cafes watching the world go by. 3 days of being nobody's mother, nobody's grandmother, nobody's convenience. Just Linda, just me. I threw a coin in the Trevi fountain, like Tom and I had planned to do together. I climbed the Spanish steps. I stood in the Sistine Chapel and stared at Michelangelo's ceiling until my neck ached, understanding for the first time what it meant to create something timeless, something utterly for oneself. On day 4, I took a train south to the Amalfi Coast, Positano specifically, the town Tom had circled in red pen in our journal with 3 exclamation marks. I checked into a small hotel, carved into the cliffside with a balcony overlooking the most impossibly blue water I'd ever seen. That night, I finally turned on my phone. 114 messages, but something had shifted in the tone. The most recent ones weren't angry anymore. They were worried. Michael. Asterisk. Mom, please just let us know you're okay. Asterisk. Jessica. Asterisk. Linda. We're concerned. You've never done anything like this before. Asterisk. Michael. Asterisk. I called Patricia, and she said you're fine, but won't tell me where you are. Please just answer. Asterisk. And then from that morning, Michael. Asterisk. Mom, I'm sorry. I've been thinking about what you said. Can we please talk? Asterisk. I stepped out onto my balcony with a glass of local wine and called him. He answered on the first ring. Mom, thank God. Are you okay? I'm wonderful, actually, I said, watching the sun set over the Mediterranean. Where are you? Positano. You're really in Italy. He sounded stunned, like he hadn't quite believed it until now. I really am. There was a long pause. I could hear Jessica in the background asking questions, but Michael shushed her. Mom, His voice cracked. I'm sorry. You were right about everything. Jessica and I have been talking, really talking, and we didn't realize. We didn't see what we were doing to you. I waited. I'd learned something in the past week, the power of silence. We canceled Hawaii, he continued. We lost the deposit, but Jessica's mom was right. Carol told Jessica we'd been taking advantage of you for years, and she was ashamed she didn't speak up sooner. Carol is a wise woman, I said softly. We found a babysitter for after-school care. It costs $800 a month, and honestly, that number shocked us. Made us realize how much free labor we'd been expecting from you. He paused. Made us realize how much we'd been taking you for granted. My eyes filled with tears, but I blinked them back. Michael, I love being a grandmother. I love Emma and Noah more than I can express. But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking and started expecting. You stopped seeing me as a person with my own life. I know, he said quietly. I know that now. Jessica's crying right now because she's so ashamed. Tell Jessica I'm not angry with her or you, but things need to change. They will, I promise. When are you coming home? I looked out at the Amalfi Coast, painted gold by the setting sun. I don't know yet. I stayed in Italy for 6 weeks. I explored every village along the Amalfi Coast. I took a cooking class in a farmhouse in Tuscany where I learned to make pasta from scratch with a 5-year-old Italian grandmother who spoke no English but taught me through gestures and laughter. I drank wine in Florence. I rode a gondola in Venice. I stood in front of David and understood why Tom had circled it twice in our journal. I met other travelers, women my age and older, who were also reclaiming their lives. We'd share stories over dinner, and I realized I wasn't unique. So many of us had lost ourselves in caring for others, had become invisible in our own lives. Patricia flew over for the last 2 weeks, and we traveled up to Lake Como together, staying in a small villa and spending our days reading by the water. It was perfect. Michael called once a week, updating me on their new arrangements. They'd hired a college student for after-school care. Jessica had cut back her activities to actually be present for the kids. Michael had adjusted his work schedule to end at 5 p.m. "The kids ask about you," he told me during one call. "But they're adjusting, and honestly, Mom, I think this is good for them too. They were too dependent on you." "How are you and Jessica managing?" I asked. "It's hard," he admitted. "We had no idea how much work this actually was. Mornings are chaos. Emma forgot her homework twice last week. Noah missed soccer practice because I lost track of time on a work call." He laughed, but it sounded exhausted. "I don't know how you did this every day." "I didn't have a choice," I said gently. "You gave me no choice." "I know, we know." In week 5, Jessica called me herself. "Linda, I owe you an apology. A real one, not just words. I talked to my therapist about all of this, and she helped me see how we'd been treating you. It was exploitation, even if we didn't mean it that way." "Thank you for saying that," I said, a wave of relief washing over me. "When you come home, and I hope you do come home soon, because the kids really miss you, I want things to be different. I want us to actually times ask, times you when we need help, and actually times accept times when you say no. I'd like that. And I want to take you to lunch, just us, not to ask you for anything, just to get to know you better, because I realized I don't really know you at all. I just know you as grandma and babysitter." That conversation meant more to me than she probably realized. It meant they truly saw me again. By week 6, I was ready to go home. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I'd proven to myself that I could leave, that I could exist independently, that I was more than just someone's mother or grandmother. I'd reclaimed Linda. I booked my return flight with a smile on my face. But this time, I bought a round-trip ticket to Prague, 3 months away. Patricia was coming too. I was done asking permission for my own life. I landed in Denver on a Tuesday afternoon. Michael and Jessica were at the airport with the twins. Emma ran to me first, crashing into my legs with a hug that nearly knocked me over. "Grandma, we missed you so much." Noah was right behind her, and I knelt down to hug them both properly, breathing in their shampoo-scented hair and feeling my heart expand. "I missed you too, sweet peas, so very much." Michael and Jessica hung back, looking nervous. When I stood, Michael stepped forward and hugged me. Really hugged me. Not the quick, obligatory squeeze from before. "Welcome home, Mom." In the car, the twins chattered about everything I'd missed. Emma's school play, Noah's soccer goal, the new pet hamster named Sparkle. They showed me pictures on Jessica's phone, and I oohed and awed over everyone. At my house, they'd hung a banner. * welcome home, Grandma, *. The kitchen table was covered in homemade cards. "The kids made these," Jessica said, "and we wanted to give you this." She handed me a gift bag. Inside was a beautiful leather journal and a travel book about Prague. "Patricia told us about your trip," Michael said. "We wanted you to have somewhere to document your adventures." I looked at my son, really looked at him, and saw Tom in his eyes, but I also saw something new. Understanding. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Mom," Michael said, sitting down across from me while the kids ran off to play. Jessica sat beside him. "We want to set some ground rules. For us, not for you." "Go on," I said, my heart full but still cautious. "We'd like to ask, actually times ask, if you'd be willing to watch the kids 1 day a week, Wednesday afternoons, and we'll pay you what we pay our sitter, $30 an hour." "You don't need to pay me." "Yes, we do," Jessica interrupted firmly. "This is your time and labor. It has value. And if you can't make it any week, or if you have other plans, that's completely fine." Michael added, "We have backup options now. You're not our only option." I felt tears prick my eyes. I'd love to spend Wednesdays with the twins. And no more unexpected babysitting requests. Jessica said firmly. No more assuming you're available. No more treating you like you have nothing else to do. Because you do, Michael said, his gaze sincere. You have a whole life, and we're sorry we forgot that. We talked for another hour. Really talked, the way we hadn't in years, about boundaries, about respect, about the difference between helping and being taken advantage of. When they left, Emma hugged me extra tight. Are you going to leave again, Grandma? Not for a few months, sweetheart, I said honestly. But yes, Grandma likes to travel now, but I'll always come back. Okay, she said, accepting this in the way children do. Will you bring me something? I laughed. Always. That night, I opened the new journal and wrote on the first page, *, Linda's adventures, *. Not mother, not grandmother, just Linda. I was 67 years old, and my life was finally, truly mine.